All right, welcome. You guys and gals ready for some Hendrix tips? All right, so I get these questions all the time, and I'm not saying this is like the most authentic tone or the most authentic Hendrix playing ever. It's just kind of to get you in that ballpark and that general aim of like, how do you get the tone? How do you play the double stops? How do you do the licks? All that kind of stuff. He's Hendrix. No one's going to do it like Hendrix. No one's going to sound just like him. But there are definitely things that you can do to sound more like him. And even more importantly, take his influence and be able to put it into your own playing. Now, if you're interested in that, I have a whole course on that called Hendrix Unleashed. And it's all about taking your licks and your sound and fusing it together with licks and phrases and progressions in the style of Hendrix. I'm not showing you, I'm not copying note for note. I'm just saying, okay, look at this song or a song in this style, and what are the mechanics behind it? What makes it better? Now that is also on sale, but down below, there's a link to the yearly membership, which gives you everything I've ever done, plus a bunch of the guest instructor courses. That's on sale, 40% off. Right now down below. If you want all of that stuff and to really like your guitar playing, that's going to help you out. 990 videos, 145 hours of content, one low price. You lock in that price for life. Okay, so Hendrix, here we go. Right off the bat, a Strat would help. He didn't play everything on a Strat. You know, he actually did use Gibsons and Telecasters and all this other stuff. 9 times out of 10, or 99% of the time, I should say, was a Strat. Now, one of the ways to get you there would be neck pickup and switching the pickups. Neck, I would say middle and bridge, right? So neck pickup. All that kind of stuff, right, is going to get you there. The middle pickup, did use the middle pickup a lot. And then of course the bridge. Right? So there's obviously the bridge pickup. Now pickup selection and pickup manufacturing, that's up to you, right? But people always ask me about mine. I'm a Lollar guy. Lollar and DiMarzio, I should say. The other, kind of mainstream pickup people I like are DiMarzio's. To me, they make fantastic pickups. Lots of great ones, right? I love the HS3s. I used to use those all the time. Kind of that Yngwie sort of thing. But like, it was a great, clear, not too noisy pickup that's easy to find at any Guitar Center, right? Or Sweetwater or wherever you want to check out. And speaking of Sweetwater, all my stuff's listed down below. You can totally get those kind of pickups there. Now, what's in most of my guitars are Lollars, and I typically use the Specials or the 64s, although this one has a blonde in the neck. Sounds great. I typically use a 64 or a Special on the bridge, but this one sounds great too. God, that sounds good. Okay, so for tone, as far as the amp goes, obviously a Marshall type circuit will get you there quicker because, you use Marshalls for the most part. But getting that sound, a huge part of it, unfortunately, is turning it up. Right? So a lot of that stuff is turned on 10, right? The back end, especially of an amp, like the volume section of the amp, so much of the sound is the interaction with the power tubes and the distortion. And obviously when you're moving that much air, the speaker is moving in a way that's going to contribute to the sound a bunch. Now, not all of us can do that. But a way that I am able to do that is the Universal Audio aux back there. That's where I can take a cabinet if I want to and tame it way down. I can crank the head on 10, but keep the overall volume in the room really low. Or I don't even have to go into a cabinet at all. I can go straight out of that head into the aux into my interface, and I can have my amp on 10 if I want. So that's a huge part of the sound, right? Check it out. If I were to take the kind of overall volume down, I mean, it sounds good still. But a lot more body. Now, one of the things that he did, was add a fuzz pedal, which is amazing. That's how he got some of those incredible tones back in the day. Even some of the clean tones like Bold as Love has a fuzz pedal on, but the volume's rolled down. That's a super trick. Now, I don't have my fuzz cranked up like he might have. I have, there's a good amount on there, so check it out. Turn it up a little bit. I typically run my fuzz with a boost, so check this out. Okay, but if you turn the volume down, right, listen. Right, so that's a huge part, right? Working the controls, always messing with the volume knob, okay? So in that particular instance, I would say 9 times out of 10 when I play Hendrix, any of the times I've ever played Hendrix on YouTube, or any of that kind of stuff, it's not usually with the fuzz. I usually use the amp and a boost pedal. And so here's the amp with a boost. Right? So you can do that approach as well. It doesn't have to be a fuzz, right? Fuzzes in particular, depending on who makes them too, they can be tricky. They have to be placed in a certain spot in the chain, and they can be really temperamental. Some fuzzes don't even work with a wah, right? So it's like, well, I want to be able to play Hendrix and have a fuzz and a wah. Well, sometimes it just doesn't even work. So it depends on the fuzz that you use as well. Now, I love the Xact tone solutions. It was called the Iridium Fuzz at one time. They do not make that pedal anymore. If you can find one, it's my favorite fuzz ever. But there's some great ones out there. I did some, vibe and fuzz combos with RJ Ronquillo. We did a couple of videos where we go over our favorite fuzzes together. And the Xact tone one and the King tone fuzz are really good. Also, the Burkos fuzzes are really good too. They're all good. But those are the ones that play with pedals and stuff like that the best. So it just depends. And with wahs, there's so many good wahs. I've had a full tone Clyde wah for like 18 years and it's never broken. It's like a tank. It sounds incredible. So the wahs are, up to you. I use a Sabatia's Funky Vibe. Right? Just killer fuzz. Now, or killer vibe. But that being said, there's lots of ways to get there. The micro vibe is really killer. The dry bell vibe is super good. The full tone vibe is awesome. Lots of different vibes. Again, we did a vibe shootout as well. So if you want to get in deep with that, you know, that'll show you like, I think we did like 6 different vibes. But anyways, that's the basic tone, right? He didn't have a lot of stuff. And maybe, you know, if you can get an Echoplex, it's tough to beat. The MXR Echoplex pedal, so good. If you want to get that like Red House vibe, it's just amazing, right? Great pedal, you can get it anywhere. So that's going to cover you in the tone department. Again, the pickups are cool. I'm a Lollar guy through and through, so I use that all the time in all my strats. Love those pickups. A Marshall type circuit's going to get you there quick. Fender Bassmans also are great for Hendrix. Hendrix did use a lot of Fender amps as well. But anything that has a Marshall kind of a circuit's going to help you out. And when you use fuzzes and amps, I'm going to go out there and say, put some gain behind it. Pedal platforms are great. And I know a lot of people like a pristine, clean amp for a pedal platform. I'm not that guy. I'm never going to be that guy. And I've never been that guy. I always like a little bit of dirt. And I find when you play a fuzz, it sounds so much better if there's a little bit of dirt already on the amp. Think about Hendrix. You think he was clean playing with a fuzz? No. He had a distorted Marshall cranked and then added fuzz on top. And if he wanted to clean it up, he did this. So that's an awesome way to get there, right? Little gain on the amp, that helps. And I set all my knobs between 4 and 6. So that'll get you there, right? Not as much bass as you'd think. You know, there's a bass. If you're in a band, there's a bass player for a reason. So sometimes getting that really good tone, take the bass back a little bit, turn the mids up a little bit. That might help you to get that killer kind of throaty good tone. Okay, so playing wise, the chords. That stuff's really easy, right? Sounds like it's super complicated. There's not a lot to it. 2 things are going to help you understand it more than anything, I think. The cage system, right? Part of the membership. Got a whole course on that. Huge. It's like 14 hours long or something crazy like that. But it helps you see chords all over the fretboard, right? But also the pentatonic scales, because the pentatonic scales are also used to chain those chord shapes together, right? And that's a great use of the scale. I would say my guitar playing got better by learning Hendrix's rhythm. That was the one thing that made me happier with my playing and helped me understand how to play and combine chords and scales together better than anything was learning Hendrix tunes, because he's the master of playing rhythm and lead at the same time. And you start to see, oh, he's just playing out of these chord shapes. And oh, check it out. That's that scale pattern I've always been playing. But he's making the chords more important than the scale. Okay, so check this out. Here's the chord, E shape. Let me show you a couple of things you can do. Now, for all you pentatonic sleuths out there, if you put the shape 3 of your pentatonic scale that looks like this, behind it, that's where you're going to get. Right, look at that. Look at this, right? Right? So anytime it's a major chord, think of that 3rd position of the pentatonic scale being right behind that, right? And then you can use the 2 chords together. I find when you're going to do the double stop, hammering onto the lower note will get you to that sound. And if you're not going to hammer onto the lower note, a lot of times just use the single. Right? Now you also, if that's shape 3, right behind it, then that obviously means that shape 2 is right underneath your fingertips. So when you hear him do, that's right out of that second pentatonic shape. Right? So if you look at the notes, so this, you're hammering into the third of the chord. That's the fifth right there. Right? That's why it sounds so awesome. Or if you go and slide, you're using that scale to give you this set of notes, but that's right out of the chord. Okay, so that works for major chords, those big E-shaped chords, right? Looks like it's E shape. If it's minor, play the first position pentatonic. Right underneath that chord shape, right? Okay, so if you think about adding those two things together, the major and the minor chords, just using the E shapes, it's going to get you kind of that Watchtower progression, or, you know, it's also Stairway to Heaven. Now, how did I do all that? Well, I took over the minor chord, right? Just like I told you, that first shape, pentatonic, right? And you can, or go this way, right? You can go backwards or forwards. Right? And then when I go here, remember that, what I told you, that shape 3. Anytime you see a major shape or a minor shape, it applies. So even if you're in, say, a different key altogether, there's going to be, you know, the key's made up of major and minor chords for the most part. So anytime, let's say you went all the way up the scale using those E-shaped chords. Again, these big like power chords that look like this, major or minor. Anytime you see that shape, that same thing still applies. That shape 2 of the pentatonic scale is always underneath your fingers. Or this is right behind it. Okay? So just remember that. Anytime you see that chord shape, any of those licks will apply. So I went minor, same thing here, right? And then I go here. Or now remember this, it's still that pentatonic shape, right? So down below, or I could go. So it's just using those simple pentatonic shapes underneath your chord shapes to get all those double stops and all that cool stuff. Now, you're also gonna go down that road further if you know the cage system as well, because then you'll start to see, oh, those are also part of other chord shapes. So like if I'm using this chord, you can start to use like these. You hear all when you're doing the A-shaped licks. I can relate this to an A shape of a D chord, right? And if you think of the word caged, that's how it's laid out on the fretboard. Or caged is all about common chord shapes. Let's take the C chord, for instance, right? C, A, G, E, and D. In that order, you can play the chords all the way up the neck. Now you got to think of, your first finger as a movable capo, right? So say I wanted to play C all the way up the neck. There's my C chord with the C shape, right? Now we're gonna go to A. Now I got my root note, which is a C note still, and then think of this as a capo, and I'm making an A chord behind it. So now I got K, now G, right, would be a G shape. Now, if I was gonna play a C chord with a G chord shape, the root note is on the low E string. So I'd have to look for the C, and then I'd have to make a G chord, but I'd have to use my first finger as this capo. Otherwise, but it's a G shape, and then I got a capo, right? That's where you get all the cool all that Keith Richards stuff, right? Super, super fun. Now, E is the next letter. So I got my E shape, C note, right? With an E shape. This is my capo, right? And an E chord shape. And then D, I'd find the C note on the D string, because on a D chord, the root is on the D note, the D string. And then, here's my capo, and then here's my chord shape. So when you can do that, and you can see those chords all over the neck, and then think about those in relationship and how they fit together with the pentatonic shapes, the Hendrix stuff becomes super cool and super easy. Right here, I'm using the A and the G shape. Now with these A-shaped chords, if you think about, like this is a D major chord, if you think about the pentatonic shape 1 being right here, like you're playing D major pentatonic, that works killer over these kind of chords. Okay. Now I could also, so check this out, I could play this. I could play this. Or I could go. But they all are chained together with those cage shapes. And I'm also using the pentatonic shapes to kind of bridge all those together as well, because I know what I can play under this chord shape, and I know what I can play under this chord shape. And then this, I know the scales that connect together to help me get there. So you got That stuff becomes so much easier when you start to look at it through that lens. You start to analyze, what was he really doing in Bold as Love or Little Wing or all these other just fantastic songs. Like, I don't think anybody does double stops better than Hendrix. That's just my opinion. There's other great people out there. There's new people too, like John Mayer, that have taken it, Stevie Ray Vaughan, taken it to another place. But like the genesis of that sound, although he wasn't the first to do it, I think he did it the best, right? In context with rock and R&B. He was just so good at it. And those couple of tips right there will really help. Now, again, I have a whole course called Hendrix Unleashed. It's humongous, and it goes over how to do all of this kind of stuff, but it's also part of the yearly membership, which is on sale right now. It's 40% off, and you lock in that price for life if you want to keep being a member. Plus, it gets all my other courses and a lot of the guest instructor courses as well. So like, we can go deep with the Hendrix stuff, and I do. I mean, there's tons of jam tracks. The band with the jam tracks is insane. It's all like Ace Nashville session, just monsters. So the jam tracks and all that stuff is just killer. And then I take, you know, Hendrix typed songs where they would sound familiar, but I modify them, right? For two reasons. A, I don't want to copy his songs, but to show you how easy it is to just make a couple manipulations to a progression, and you could take a song in that style and make it your own, right? And then there's also how to take his own style and show you some real like definite things that he did, but how to make it your own, right? So that you can use those kind of things over any kind of chord progression that you'd want to play over, right? Even if it's country or jazz or whatever, all these Hendrix tips apply, and you can hear it in all sorts of music in all types of genres. It goes with anything, really. I mean, I don't know about classical, but you could do it. You could make it fit. People would be like, whoa, that's some trippy classical. And you'd be like, yeah, that's right. That's mine. You thought Yngwie was awesome. Check out Hendrix Vey. Or Hendrix Bach. Bach Hendrix. I don't know. You can make it be whatever you want. Point being is the Hendrix thing is easily demystified. Now, it doesn't mean you're going to play like him, because there's only one Hendrix. There's only one guy that's going to ever sound as good as Hendrix did, and that's Hendrix. So these are tips to get you there, get you close to the sound, get you close to being able to play. If you want to be able to get the lead licks and all that stuff, check that link below. Again, that's the membership. That's everything, but the Hendrix course is inside of that as well. You get that as well. Or you can, you know, get it by itself if you don't want the best deal. You can get the Hendrix course as well. And it's still going to be a great deal, but you know, you're only just a little bit different from being able to have it all. So anyways, that's how all these videos are brought to you. The support at brettpapa.com. That's how I'm able to make all these free videos, all these courses, bring in all the guests, do all that stuff. It's because of support from awesome people like yourself. I hope you liked the video. Give it a thumbs up. Make sure to subscribe and to click the bell to be notified. I don't do sales very much on the YouTube channel. Most of it is just free instruction I hoped that will help you get better in some way and inspire you to play, because at the end of the day, that's what it's all about for me, is inspiring you to pick up that guitar, get better, and create. That would just make my day as well. If I knew that you were doing that alone, that's like a majority of the reason that I do what I do. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much for the continued support. We'll catch you next time.